Well, hello and good morning, everyone. We're so delighted to have you here at Montgomery College, where we are hosting two outstanding secretaries who are working on accelerating the growth of the labor market and the connections between labor and industry to produce a vibrant workforce in our area, in our country, and certainly in our world. With that, I would love to take an opportunity to offer just a few words of comment and then turn it over to Dr. Rai, who's going to facilitate a conversation with us and certainly hear from our secretaries as well. I'm Darian Pollard. I'm the proud president of Montgomery College, and we certainly welcome you here today. And I'm joined by my fellow presidents of the Maryland Community Colleges, where we are partners in the Cyber Technology Pathways Across Maryland Consortium. Helping people access career pathways, not just jobs, is one of the major goals of the $15 million grant from the Department of Labor's TAC program. Today's conversation about closing the skills gap is indeed a critical one. Like other states, Maryland has a bridge in the gap of its major industries, cybersecurity in this case, in order to create jobs with higher wages and to strengthen businesses. By investing in 14 of the 16 community colleges in the state of Maryland, we are constructing that missing link. Education and training pathways will provide opportunities for low-income workers with minimal prior educational experience to become highly skilled workers in a knowledge economy. Two of the people most responsible for this transformation opportunity are here today. I'd like to give a special welcome to United States Secretary of Labor, Tom Perez. Welcome home again.
Good to be here.
I have personally seen how committed he is to job creation and to seeing community colleges as a part of that pathway. And under his leadership, the Department of Labor, along with the Department of Education, has invested $450 million in 270 community colleges. The Secretary clearly understands that the pathway to a good job is often, and dare I say most likely, through a community college. Secretary Perez, thank you so much. I'd also like to thank Secretary Pritzker, the United States Secretary of Commerce, who is equally committed to ensuring that workers have access to specific skills that employers need to compete in the global economy. I believe, and I've witnessed long before there was a national dialogue around these issues, she was a vibrant force talking about them when in the private sector, but bringing that now to her work in the federal government. And under her leadership, the Department of Commerce has focused for the first time on job-driven training initiatives such as this one. So we are delighted to have both of them here with us today. I am so thrilled that so many of our community partners from cybersecurity, higher education, nonprofits, and state and county leadership are here today. This initiative has brought us all together in ways to maximize our unique capabilities. In addition to strengthening partnerships, this generous grant will allow us to tackle cybersecurity threats before they hurt us. Our secretaries had an opportunity earlier today to meet our faculty, some of the faculty in the program and some of the students, and I'd like to think that they are indeed making and ensuring that we will have a better pathway in this world as it relates to cybersecurity. We know that this is a national priority which cannot be overestimated. While guarding these systems, we're also fulfilling the mission and vision of the Obama administration to address our critical workforce needs. As Secretaries Perez and Secretary Pritzker have both said, community colleges have a unique role in bridging the gaps between higher education and job readiness. Secretary Perez has called community colleges the secret sauce in this formula, and he is right. It is not going to be a secret anymore, though, I truly believe. Maryland is a national center for cybersecurity with 20,000 jobs just in this region, in this sector, that are unfilled at this time. This grant will train residents who might not have the opportunity to step into these skilled positions. And by creating pathways for families to move forward, this grant will change the trajectory of the lives of our community. I'm very proud that Maryland's community colleges, represented by so many of my colleagues here today, are helping to advance our national goals in cybersecurity and economic growth, while at the same time moving Maryland forward. Thank you so much for being here, and I will turn it over to the secretaries.
Well, thank you, Dr. Pollard, first of all, for the tour of the Cyber Laboratory. That was fantastic, and for welcoming us here today to your campus. I also want to recognize all the leaders of the community colleges who have joined us today, members of the private sector, as well as local and state government leaders. Thank you for coming out to discuss what is truly an issue that is very near and dear to my heart. And I'm thrilled to be here with my partner on this issue, Secretary Perez. He and I have really enjoyed coming together to try and address the skills effort, and it's always a pleasure to get to come and do an event together. And, you know, Secretary Perez, one of the things that I know for sure is that you are laser focused every day on how to help working families. And for that, I know our country is grateful, but I love partnering with you for just that reason. So for the first time, as Dr. Pollard said, the Department of Commerce has made skilled and workforce training a top priority. And the reason's really simple. For our economy to grow and for families to thrive, we need to make sure that our workers are better prepared and better equipped to meet the demands of business in the 21st century. And meeting that task is a responsibility of all of us in this room. It takes bringing together government, the private sector, our institutions of learning, and business leaders especially. And that's what the TACT grant is all about, building a partnership between community colleges and local employers to train students to fill the jobs of today and be prepared for the opportunities of tomorrow. As someone said, we're trying to skate where the puck is going, not where the puck is. And that's what Montgomery College and its partners are doing here with the Cyber Technology Pathways Across Maryland effort. I mean, earning this $15 million grant is something that's a real recognition of the fact that you've aligned your educational ecosystem with the needs of a very vital sector of our economy, cybersecurity. And as you all know, cybersecurity is a threat not just to our national security, but all you have to do is pick up the newspaper to also know it's a threat to our businesses and to our economy at large. So addressing this challenge is not only a priority for the entire Obama administration, it's a priority for our country. The Department of Commerce is taking a lead on this front through our National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, which is located nearby in Gaithersburg. NIST, I have to say, since NIST is part of the Department of Commerce, but I also feel this is a national treasure, and it's a little-known national treasure. This agency advances cutting-edge technology and industry standards at our national laboratories, which have counted for today, as of today, 6 Nobel Prize winners among their ranks. And at NIST has conducted cybersecurity research for as long as there has been cyberspace to secure. So along its efforts, NIST has worked with the state of Maryland and Montgomery County on projects to secure electronic health information, protect assets in the financial services sector, and defend our energy infrastructure. More relevant to our roundtable today is that NIST has prepared with other federal agencies a program called NICE. Every federal program has an acronym. NICE stands for the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. And NICE is focused on a specific gap in our economy. So there are an estimated 210,000 open and unfilled cybersecurity jobs in the United States today. So those of you who are taking this program, you are going into a very good field. For the sake of economic and national security, we have to change this. We have to be able to train folks for these jobs. and it's relevant not just for the government, it's relevant for the private sector as well. So what NICE does is the NICE Cybersecurity Workforce Framework provides the standard lexicon for community colleges and industry partners on the vocabulary of the cybersecurity field, the curriculum for cybersecurity courses, as well as creating position descriptions for organizations to tackle cybersecurity. So NICE is partnering with the private sector to develop an interactive U.S. map that shows where cybersecurity job openings exist, identify the required skills to fill them, and shows training programs available to job seekers. And in addition, NICE is building a catalog of high-quality cyber training programs. So our businesses need a trained workforce that can implement NIST's cybersecurity framework for critical infrastructure. So NIST developed a cybersecurity framework for critical infrastructure that provides standards, guidelines, and practices to help businesses manage cyber risks in a cost-effective way. And this is there's so much more to do, but at NIST, we're trying to lay the foundation to help build our cybersecurity capabilities. We have to bring our cybersecurity defenses to an optimal level. We have to train trainers, we have to train educators, we have to train industry leaders, security firms, and businesses to meet this challenge in a comprehensive and effective manner, or our economy and our national security are really at risk. So on another note, I want to take a moment to focus on the fact that we meet today at a moment of opportunity for our country. Last month, our economy added 321,000 jobs, marking 57 straight months of job growth. And in 2014 is on track to be the best year for our labor market since the late 1990s. So to build on this momentum, the Department of Commerce, in partnership with the Department of Labor, is focused on making sure workers are trained for good-paying jobs in every sector. So listen up. So to support that effort, for the first time, the Department of Commerce is seeking a national partner to help us develop a skilled-focused learning exchange to identify and scale industry-led workforce partnerships. This federal funding opportunity is just one way the Department of Commerce and the Obama administration is acting to improve how our country trains, educates, and prepares our workforce. But to be an effective interlocutor, it's imperative that we at the Department of Commerce hear about the concerns and insights faced by all of you here on the ground. I'm very interested today in hearing your ideas on how we can more closely align the immediate workforce needs of business with the educational and training resources in our communities. I want to learn from you about how to make local, regional, and national workforce development efforts more job-driven, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and working together to keep our economy growing and our country open for business. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to be home. The biggest challenge I have here is not regressing into a series of stories about the various foxholes I've been in with various folks in this room. That would be fun. That would be remarkably fun. So let me simply say it's always wonderful to see so many familiar faces, whether it's from the County Council, my colleagues Steve and Mike Knapp, from my days in state government, and I see some of my compadres from that chapter in my life. Been in foxholes with everybody in that front row there. Part of Maryland's success as a state has been the community college system. I learned that front and center when I was on the county council, and then when I served at a state level, and I'll climb in a foxhole with y'all any day of the week. Our corporate partners have been fantastic, and the concept of demand-driven is something that you understand, and I want to say thank you to the likes of Lockheed and so many others who are here today and are very much invested in our community. And it's an investment of enlightened self-interest, and there's a mutual recognition of that. And it's great to see workforce investment boards around here. Been to a few of those. Integral part of the equation here. I want to thank all the professors who are here. One thing I know from having worked on budgets in Montgomery County is that you do not get rich. And if you are getting rich, then we need to call the Inspector General, because you're not getting rich on your salary at any community college in this state. But what you recognize is that the non-monetary rewards of empowering the next generation of leaders continue to be priceless. And so I want to say thank you on behalf of Secretary Pritzker for all you're doing to educate tomorrow's workforce, tomorrow's leaders, and to grow tomorrow's economy. And we have so many nonprofit partners in the room, and it's good to see y'all again. And nonprofits have been an integral part of our workforce partnership across this state, especially in the delivery of a lot of critical wraparound services in addition to the training. And so it's great to see all of you here. And then thank you to the students who are here. Our trip to the classrooms this morning was nothing short of inspiring. You're going to be my boss someday. I have no doubt about it. That guy right there is going to be a lawyer and a leader, and he's running for something. And I know that because I've seen him before. And he embodies the future of our county and the future of our state and the future of our country. So it's great to be here. And it's phenomenally exciting to be here with Secretary Pritzker. We're trying to model behavior at a federal level. If you want to create jobs, you know, that's a joint venture, not only between the Secretary of Commerce and Secretary of Labor, but our colleagues at the Department of Education, at HUD, at the Department of Agriculture. What you say, the Department of Agriculture? Yeah. Well, they have workforce dollars. And so we work with Secretary Vilsack. We're working across this administration at the direction of the President to make sure that we implode stovepipes and build a truly demand-driven workforce system. No more train and pray. We're not going to hire and train widget makers if nobody's. We're not going to train widget makers if no one's hiring widget makers. And as you've heard, if you're in the cyber field, your future is bright in this area and around this country. And it is not the only area in Montgomery County and the state of Maryland where there is a bright future. Secretary Pritzker talked about our job stats, and what's interesting to note, every first Friday of the month, I get to talk with about 30 different media outlets about the job stats. And we've had 57 consecutive months of private sector job growth. Last month was the third highest among those 57 months. We have created more jobs in this recovery. We're at about 11 million than Europe, Japan, and every other advanced nation combined. I just got back from a trip to Europe, and the most frequent thing I heard from folks was, I wish we had your economic recovery. Heard it in Germany, heard it in UK, continue to hear it in my travels, and I don't travel nearly as much as Secretary Pritzker. Just yesterday, we released data showing that there are 4.83 million job openings right now. 4.83 million job openings right now. In the depths of the recession, there were roughly a little over 7 job seekers for every job. That is not a good ratio. Right now, for the first time since the end of the recession, there are under 2 job seekers for every job, 1.9, which means that's going to start putting upward pressure on wages, because the best way to increase wages, and that's one of the president's top priorities, is not only to grow good middle-class jobs, but to lift wages for everyone, is to continue to have 321,000 jobs created, or to stay above 200,000. Those are the way to grow jobs, and that's what's happening. And the key to sustaining this success and building that pathway for shared prosperity is to make sure we're investing in our most precious resource, our human capital. You know, when I was growing up in Buffalo, New York, my surrogate father had about a 10th grade education. And when the economy tanked, he simply didn't have the skills to adjust to the next jobs that could have kept him in the middle class. So it tore my heart out to watch him lose his home and lose his dignity and you know, working pumping gas at the gas station at the corner of my street and just doing anything to make ends meet, because that's what you did. And so what we have to do differently is not only train people for the jobs of today, but give them the critical thinking and skills for the jobs of tomorrow. I remember talking to someone in the IT field recently, a Fortune 50 CEO who said, you know, the cloud is what we use today, but in short order, the cloud's going to look like the abacus. And so our key is to make sure that we're training people not only for proficiency in the cloud today, but to have that alacrity and that skill and that deftness to adjust to the jobs of tomorrow so they don't meet the fate of my surrogate father growing up in Buffalo, where you just can't keep pace. And these 200,000 jobs here in Maryland, you know, I was looking at the grants in this state. You know, the pay ranges from about 42,000 to about 100,000. These are good middle-class jobs that are right here. And I've met folks. We did an event at the White House recently where we met some folks who had done some great work in Anne Arundel County. And they were graduating into a job, and they were literally starting the week after I saw them, $70,000 a year. So this is happening across this state. And community college presidents, again, I thank you. And everyone who works in the community college system, I thank you, because you are indeed the secret sauce of the success that we're enjoying here. And we are moving forward because you have understood that partnership is key. And really, we've had 4 rounds of TACT. And this is really bringing together the other grants that you have gotten so that you're taking this model in the cyber setting to scale at a statewide level. And regardless of whether you live in Garrett County or whether you live in Anne Arundel or up in Howard County or the Eastern Shore or in the wonderful city of Hagerstown or right here in Montgomery County or in Baltimore City or north of the city, opportunities in this area abound. And what impressed me about this particular grant, and by the way, our competition for these grants is going gangbusters. And Steve, this guy, I'm told, was one of the principal grant writers. He really deserves a hand, Steve Greenfield, because he kicked some butt. And you know, what I in particular like about this investment is that, number one, you're not creaming. It's easy to pad your stats by getting folks who are already, you know, 95% of the way there, giving them that last 5%. And then declaring victory. That's an important part of what you should be doing, but that should never be the only part, and it's not the only part. You're creating true career pathways. I know a bunch of folks in this room involved in adult basic education, and you are taking folks at every level in the adult basic education continuum, and you are giving them pathways to the middle class. That's what is great about this grant, the breadth of this grant, the involvement of the workforce system. We don't need to reinvent wheels here in Maryland. We have a good workforce system, and you know, I've been to locations across this state, and the community colleges in Maryland are as good as anyone in the country in partnering with our local workforce system. The engagement of employers here. There is a high confidence interval for employers who are hiring folks from this program that the certificates and degrees they're getting are going to result in hiring a good employee. I meet so many employers who, frankly, they're kind of a little bit unhappy. I was looking for the inside voice. They're a little bit unhappy with some of the folks they get from four-year higher ed because they have a degree, but it's not translating into the core competencies that you need to succeed. And so Secretary Pritzker earlier this morning when we were in the classroom was asking all the right questions as usual about does this degree align with the core competencies that are needed by the Lockheeds of the world and the other employers in this area? And the answer is yes, because they're involved. And so when you see someone graduating from this program, you have a very high confidence interval that that person coming into your door is going to be able to succeed because you got skin in the game. And that is a key, not simply building credentials, but building competencies that underlie and support those credentials. So that's why I'm excited about this grant. This is a real model for the nation, and we know it's a model that you're applying in a demand-driven area. The sky is the limit, and I want to turn it to everyone else, but my last observation really is to the students, because it's fun to come to places like this and see people in various walks of life, some who have just arrived in this country, some who have grown up in this community, some who have just completed high school, some who have been out in the workforce for 20, 25 years, all of whom have a hunger to punch their ticket to the middle class and make sure that they can be a robust part of the community you live in, whether it's Allegheny County, whether it's Montgomery County, whether it's Baltimore County, or any of the other wonderful counties in this state. You're incredible, and your commitment is going to pay off. And remember, learning is lifelong. I started college the same year my mother started college, because I was the caboose. And finally, when she got all the kids the heck out of the house, then she was able to do that. And she taught me that learning is lifelong. So keep coming back. Endless possibilities is not a pithy slogan. It's a fact. And in the cyber world, there are endless possibilities across this state. So thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
So thank you, Dr. Pollard and Secretaries Perez and Perez for your remarks this morning. My name is Sanjay Rai. I'm Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs at Montgomery College, and I'll be moderating a panel discussion. But before we start, I want to welcome our County Council member, Honorable Craig Rice. Please help me welcome him. One of the unique elements about TACT grant is that they bring everyone at the table to meet workforce development and economic development needs. We are joined this morning by an elite group of individuals who illustrate just part of that mix of talent that we have in our arsenal as we begin implementing our TACT grant. Joining Dr. Pollard and Secretaries Perez and Pritzker are Dr. James Ball, President, Community College of Carroll Community College, representing our educational institutional partners across the state. Mahesh Kalwa, Chief Technologist at Lockheed Martin, representing our employer partners. Ben Edson, President and CEO of Veric, also representing our employer partners. Steve Silverman, Director of Montgomery County Department of Economic Development. Barbara Kaufmann, Director of the Montgomery County Workforce Investment Board. And most importantly, Montgomery College alumnus, Golf Fan Yvong. I apologize if I messed up my name. I'm used to that. People do that to me. Who is currently an information assurance engineer at Lockheed Martin. I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts. George Heron, Director of Mentoring at Life's Journey. And of course, our own Steve Greenfield, Montgomery College Dean of Information Technology, Business and Safety in Workforce Development and Continuing Education Unit. I also want to take a quick moment to acknowledge Steve for his remarkable leadership of the TACT proposal and implementation, his talent of building bridges, and his vision of creating opportunity for residents that directly flows into the local workforce is a mighty attribute. Thank you, Steve. Now, this discussion will be an open dialogue. I'll put a series of questions forward, and you can respond to the question that you think is appropriate for your area. And I may pick on one of you to say more about those questions. So our first question is, how does this effort fit within the broader context of skill training that drives economic growth for the area? Perhaps Steve Silverman and Barbara Kaufmann will be appropriate.
Thanks very much. First, I want to say on behalf of County Executive Mike Leggett how grateful we are to have secretaries here and for the leadership of the Obama administration. It's a wonderful partnership, and I want to thank Secretary Pritzker in particular for supporting this incredible partnership with the National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence just down the road. The governor, the county executive, and Senator Mikulski's leadership and your leadership, Madam Secretary, are very critical to what we think is going to make Montgomery County, Maryland, the hub of civil cybersecurity in the country. We are planting the flag down the road. It's an extraordinary opportunity, a partnership with the federal government, state and local government, and the private sector to write the standards. And we expect and anticipate a continuing great working relationship with all of our partners for what is a $170 billion industry, give or take, that is going to dwarf the amount of money being spent on the defense side for civil cybersecurity going forward. So it's a great opportunity. We're very grateful for your leadership. This is very critical to us because, to pick up on my former colleague, Secretary Perez's comments about train and pray, we don't have the luxury anymore of spending training dollars, no matter where they're coming from, in the hopes that there are going to be jobs at the end of that certificate or degree program. We've weathered the storm of 5 years ago, but our unemployment rate in the county is still higher than it should be. It's 4.3%, which nationally sounds great, but full employment in our county is about 2.6%. And that means there are thousands of Montgomery County residents who get up every day trying to figure out how they're going to send their kids to school, how they're going to feed a family. And we want to make sure those job opportunities are there. And this field of civil cybersecurity in particular is the opportunity, and this type of a grant and partnership is extraordinary. There was a report that came out last year by the Able Foundation that said that there were about 20,000 jobs in Montgomery, in Maryland, that were open in 1,800 companies. What's also exciting about it, and I think this is part of what this grant is about, is that while 83% of those jobs require a BA degree or a BS degree of some kind, 17% don't. And it's really critical that we make sure we're providing career pathways for the kids who are coming out of our high schools, who are not going to a 2- or 4-year college. That's a direction that I know the Obama administration has been going. I note that Secretary Perez and the President were in Prince George's County a few months ago to support a certification program of what they're doing over there, and that's a direction we're moving in. We've got 22% of our high school graduates who are not going to a 2- or 4-year college. We're #1 in the state in sending kids to college, but we've still got degrees that are being granted to kids who don't have those opportunities. For a variety of reasons, we want to make sure those career pathways are there. So this field of cybersecurity and this grant in particular is a seminal moment, I think, for us to take advantage of a growing field where jobs will be there and where the partnership will be there, and we're very grateful for your support and leadership.
Thank you. Barbara.
Thank you. I've been in workforce development a very long time, and when I started, we just did training programs, precisely train and pray. What's different now and what we're doing in Montgomery County is we are focusing on those industry sectors that are high growth, high demand, and are important to the county, such as cybersecurity. So we ask the employers what they need, what they want. They've told us that they are interested in making sure that the pipeline is there. That's part of this grant. And we are creating what we're calling a STEM boot camp that provides individuals with the skills that the employers say they need, and it'll serve as the pipeline into other educational institutions, saving individuals developmental education and time, and they get ready faster. So there's a great partnership among education and the employer and the workforce system to get people to meet the need of the employer and get people ready faster.
Thank you. My next question is, this project is being led out of Montgomery College, but it includes nearly all of the state's community colleges, dozens of employers, for-profit organizations, not-for-profit organizations. How did this consortium come together, and why was now the right time to make a statewide push? Perhaps, Steve, you could address that.
This has truly been a collective effort. Back in April, 14 community colleges came here to Montgomery College to develop a common vision and a collective vision for how we could have a significant impact on unemployed workers and veterans through this grant. And at that time, we set very ambitious goals. We pledged that 3,000 unemployed workers and veterans would enter the cybersecurity career pathway. We pledged that 2,000 of them would earn important credentials and degrees. We pledged that 1,500 would get jobs at higher wages in the growing cybersecurity industry in our area. And we also knew we had to engage employers and other community partners. So we've gone from 14 community colleges to now 70 partners in this grant. Our 14 colleges, 38 employers statewide, our 14 workforce investment boards, Dollar, the Tech Council of Maryland. There's a broad partnership that is working together to make this project work.
Thank you. I want to ask a follow-up question to Mahesh Kalwa from Lockheed Martin. This project takes our involvement, your involvement with Montgomery College to a next level. What led Lockheed to take such an active role, and what commitments and investments are you bringing to the table, and what do you hope to get out of all this?
First of all, I'm honored and humbled to be on this esteemed panel. Thank you, Dr. Rai. And one of the biggest reasons that we got involved with this grant is identifying the talent. We, being the #1 employer in Montgomery County, and also the #1 systems integrator for the federal government, we are always in hunt for the best talent out there. And as part of that initiative, and we have seen under Dr. Pollitt's leadership and your leadership and persistence of Mr. Greenfield, we got engaged with the investments that you have been making, especially in this cyber curriculum that you have been engaging us, and with the investments that you have been making in biosciences lab. So with those investments and with the change of technology and education that you are providing, which can hit the workforce on the ground running. I mean, we don't have to invest. Corporations don't have to invest in retraining the employees, and that becomes economic and efficient way of finding the best and the brightest talent for our customers, which is basically the federal government. So with that aspect of it, we got very much engaged with you, and with the TAC grant, we also had a vested interest. Montgomery College is in our backyard. We are being the largest employer in Montgomery County, one of the largest employer. We had the ability to get the best of the brightest. You know, when our cybersecurity analysts are coming and teaching, they are able to identify the best and the brightest in the class. So we had the eye on that aspect of it too. So that, several of these things came together, and we got involved with Montgomery College, and of course with the grant. And obviously it's already paying off dividends that you'll be hearing a little bit later on the panel.
Thank you very much.
Can I follow up? Secretary Pritzker and I were having the conversation, and I had this with Eric Sells now, who is no stranger to the Montgomery County, about what's the biggest difference, or what are the biggest differences between the workforce system we saw, say, 10 years ago, the workforce system we see now. And one of the things that we were talking about, I remember, Penny, a while back, was the depth and breadth of employer engagement years ago versus now is a significant difference. And I'd like to hear from you more about that, and whether you've observed that at Lockheed, and what the ROI has been on that for your much more extensive engagement with workforce systems, with curricular design and competency-based learning, all the things that enable you to
absolutely
grow your business.
Great question. One of the things, we have about 110,000 employees within Lockheed Martin, of which about 70,000 of them are engineers and scientists. So the challenge that we are facing in the country as such, because our bread and butter is finding that engineering talent and the required talent that is required for the workforce of tomorrow and today, as a matter of fact. So we constantly were grappling with unable to fill those positions. And I feel that with now there is a tremendous focus on STEM, but a few years ago there was no focus on STEM. And we were going to be losing in the world stage with the competitive countries such as China and India and what have you. So our ability, right from the top executives, Marilyn Houston, who is our CEO, and our Chief Technology Officer for the entire corporation, Dr. Steve, we all got engaged to make sure that STEM becomes a priority. And with that, we were able to attract a lot of students getting into the STEM field, and able to bring in more engagement with the community was paying off. We were able to find students and employees in the communities that we employ and we work.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Ben, you have one of the fastest growing companies, I think, in this area. And, you know, Lockheed Martin is one of the greatest established businesses here. Explain why you're involved, you know, right out of the box as you have a relatively new and young but extremely fast growing business. I think you said you had a couple hundred employees now. Tell us about your, you know, what motivates your engagement.
Sure, thank you. I'm Ben Edson. I'm the founder and CEO of RQ. 15 years ago, actually, I worked nighttime shift in a security operations center doing security analysis. And I started my degree actually in a community college at the same time. So I have a couple MBA, an MBA and a second master's. 2008, I started RQ, where we expanded, right? So 2 individuals. We've been a Fast 50 company within the DC market. A little bit more, 200 people right now. We're adding another 100 in the next year. So from contracts we've essentially won. We work across federal, state, and commercial. There's a lot of opportunities. Personally, I love cyber because there's a lot of areas of opportunity and growth. It takes you into essentially 1,000 areas of specializations. If you can imagine, cyber is very broad. And my involvement with Steve last year in developing the TAC is trying to get in at the ground roots so that we could identify essentially the best and brightest. When we win contracts, we then have to execute. If you execute well, the company continues to grow, and you provide a service that actually makes a difference. So my interest was finding people that could start out and then continue to expand in their own technical capabilities for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Cyber is not going away. There's a lot of bad guys out there. They're not going away. So hopefully this will be a very long partnership.
So I'll suggest our students to make sure that you have Ben's business cards. And I heard 100 jobs for now. So I apologize. I neglected to introduce Brian Levine from Tech Council of Maryland. Tech Council is a very important partner in our efforts. So how about directing a question to Tech Council of Maryland? Is the growth of cybersecurity jobs in the state keeping up with the initial expectations? And what do your members say they need to grow as it relates to their workforce?
Well, the Tech Council, for those who don't know, is a business association representing technology companies, and one of those burgeoning areas is cybersecurity. And Dr. Rai and Dr. Pollard and Steve, thank you for including the Tech Council in the grant. We're very pleased to be part of that, and one of the reasons that we're so pleased to be part of the grant is that anecdotally what we hear from a lot of employers is they have unfilled positions. And that's a heartbreaking thing to hear when the economy in Maryland and around the country is still recovering from the Great Recession. And a lot of these positions are available at companies that require the kind of training that could be provided in the pathways that could be provided through this grant and through the community colleges. So one thing that the Tech Council is going to focus on in this grant is employer engagement. And some of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to activate our members and others in the cybersecurity community to tell the community colleges and the consortium what skills and competencies are needed for these positions that are unfilled in the cybersecurity industry. So we're very excited to be part of that. Another way we're going to do that is we're going to administer and create listening sessions around the state and involve the employers that that the consortium is going to engage and hear again what skills and competencies are needed. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to hire someone through the grant to specifically focus on employer engagement.
Brian, can I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
If you were to do a survey of your members, and let's say for every 100 jobs that are available, what percentage of those require a 4-year degree or equivalent, then a 2-year degree or some equivalent? I'm trying to get a handle on, and every time I go in the tech sector, I ask this question because I think it's helpful to drill down. And Steve's point about the percentages was relevant to this, and so I'm curious. And a ballpark.
Yeah, I hate to give you the answer I'm going to give you, but I think it goes throughout the range. So, I mean, a lot of our members are in the biotechnology industry, for example.
Yeah, lab techs and things like that.
So lab techs don't require a 4-year degree. Yeah. They require training, or a 2-year degree from a community college would suffice as well. And of course, a lot of companies are also looking for PhDs or engineers or people who have a higher level of education than a 4-year degree. But that's why we're excited about this grant is we think that to fill some of these jobs in the cybersecurity industry, they can be done through the community colleges.
And do you find, this is sort of a part 2 of that question, and this is for all 3 employers, are you finding that there are, in the cyber or the tech areas, are there incumbent worker opportunities? So someone comes in as a lab tech, and then you will invest in them, and then they're moving up the ranks to do whatever is the next thing on the pecking order of what you're doing?
Absolutely. In Lockheed Martin, we certainly encourage a lot of in-house training. We offer trainings for our employees. We offer online courses, tremendous amount of online courses, so that when a program comes to an end for a customer that we are working with, we try to identify the employee to work on a different technology, perhaps. And if they do not have that technology per se, so we help them get that training. And obviously, with the partnership that we have with Montgomery College, we also extend them to take courses at MC to come back for the retrained with those courses and capabilities to the work field.
Thank you.
Two points.
I think you wanted to make
Sure.
Sure. In VARQ, we hire across all areas. I had a GED when I started. I continued educating myself because I thought that was a need that maybe I would have in the future. So we hire people everywhere from high school diplomas to
PhDs.
2 years, 4 years. We have PhDs as well. There's a place for all skill levels. And what we look for primarily is raw talent, people that have good attitudes, good work ethics, aptitude to learn, and then we supplement those with our own training, or we bring them from outside.
Ben, there was that Gatorade commercial that said, "I want to be like Mike."
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in this audience who were just listening to you going, "I want to be like Ben."
Yeah.
I think
one of the benefits of consistent communication with employers in this project is that we do meet employers like Ben and others who are willing to do competency-based hiring. Because we've got some really qualified associate degree graduates, some credential holders, and they're ready to go to work, and we're hoping that employers recognize that.
Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question. Do you have enough local employers engaged? I mean, do you think you have the landscape that you want to have? Is this going to grow?
The composition is interesting because across the state, we were able to engage not just cybersecurity employers, but employers across industries for whom cybersecurity has a major impact. So if you look at our list of employers, MedStar is a major employer, Carroll Community Hospital, because of the impact of cybersecurity on healthcare. We have a couple of retail companies in our mix, and of course we have Fort Meade Alliance and government hiring, government employers.
It's called the mother load.
I'm sorry?
Fort Meade, it's called the mother load in cybersecurity.
Fort Meade is the mother load. So it's a broad cross-section of employers, from cybersecurity employers to healthcare. And one of the reasons Brian Levine and the Tech Council is engaged with us is because we want to engage a wider and wider circle of employers as the grant progresses. And we also, our sustainability strategy is that after the grant ends, that we've demonstrated enough benefit to employers that they continue to stay with us and continue to hire our students.
So if you actually think about it, though, from a business standpoint, every business needs cybersecurity, every single business, because in this day and age, the backbone of every business is some form of a digital platform. And so you could see this becoming retailers. I mean, you could just get much, much broader in terms of engagement, and then making sure that the connection with these businesses in terms of accessing all your great students, that kind of integration of both, not just giving you advice, but also looking to, access your students, I think is really what we had in mind in devising these grants.
I think, Secretary Pritzker, you hit on a really valid point. As a matter of fact, it's the confluence of four major technologies. It's social, mobile, and analytics. I mean, the data analytics component for cyber or outside of cyber, because of all the digital industrial economy that's happening, is so key, and needless to say, the cloud and the security on that as well. So these SMAC, as it's known, again, another acronym. So this is bringing all of these four different varying technologies together, and that's where the future is, if you will.
Well, I think George runs a really interesting program that helps younger people figure out how to access these careers.
Oh, indeed. Thank you for having LifeJourney join the discussion here today. Inspiring and motivating our students about the kinds of technologies, STEM-based, cybersecurity jobs in the industry is absolutely essential, from the middle school to the high school, and preparing them to enter into Montgomery College and enter into the industry. There are 5 million students that we graduate each year from the universities into industry, yet there are only 8%. 8% of the universities and colleges have formal education, formal programs for cybersecurity education. And, it's no wonder, Madam Secretary, that your fact about 210,000 open cybersecurity jobs right now are not able to be filled because we have not prepared this pipeline. I'm with LifeJourney. I'm the director of mentoring for LifeJourney, and we have an online system an online platform that enables students to discover, to explore different kinds of careers and technology careers, STEM, cyber types of careers. We find the Peyton Mannings, the rock stars from leading industries around the country, such as Lockheed Martin. We take these mentors, and then we have the students test drive that career by actually living a day in the life of that particular cybersecurity expert for America. If you ask any student, and many of us have done this, many of us have been asked this in the past, ask any high school student what it is that they want to be when they grow up, and you'll get an answer: doctor, lawyer,
yes.
Football player.
Yes.
And and many times they say, I don't know, and that's a pretty common statement. Just down the street at Gaithersburg High School this last month, they started adopting LifeJourney in their classrooms. 500 students started taking LifeJourney, and if you go up to any of those students now and ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they'll say doctor, lawyer, and digital forensic analyst.
Very good.
And threat vector security specialist. Things that they didn't know even existed before. Those are the kind of students that are becoming inspired. Those are the students that are becoming informed. Those are students that are starting to connect their careers through Montgomery College and then ultimately become ready to work. And that's the key.
So if I'm a parent and I want to expose my children to the potential of these careers, I just go to lifejourney.com and I can explore this?
Your school is already going to have that contact with LifeJourney through the different industry partners that are supplying those mentors, those Peyton Manning rock stars. They are the companies that are sponsoring these LifeJourneys that are sponsored through schools. And the schools in turn run it throughout their classrooms. So chances are your student is going to come home and say, Mom, guess what I did today? I learned what it is to be a cybersecurity specialist in a security operations center, or again, a digital forensic analyst.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to pose a question to Dr. Ball. As a relative newcomer to the field, how will Carroll Community College leverage the previous experience of your fellow consortium members to build a new cyber program at your institution?
Well, that's a great question, and again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And for Carroll Community College, we owe a great debt of thanks to Montgomery College for shepherding the leadership here. It's not, the scope of that project was not something we could have handled with any degree of ease, and the resources that Montgomery has already established have made this a very viable program for us to be able to develop. We had developed a number of initiatives on the non-credit side, and in fact we were one of the few community colleges to do the non-credit elements of cybersecurity through some past grant relationships, but this opportunity is unprecedented for us, and we're going to be able to draw upon the existing curriculum. We're going to be able to draw upon the existing expertise, the networks that have been established with the employers. In my view, that's the most important part of what we're doing here. That employment connection is everything to a program of our type. Students need to see clear pathways for what they're learning into a job. If they don't see that clear pathway, it's very difficult for them in this economy and the way things are going for them economically and their pressures with family and otherwise to sustain a pathway to complete a degree, to maybe continue towards the baccalaureate degree and to fill the higher level jobs and so on without some strong sense of what it is they need to do, some strong sense of what's going on in that work environment, and that there are these definite jobs out there for them once things come together. So that accumulation of resources that are available through this grant, and I've been in higher education now for many years, and I've never seen an opportunity for colleges like this one emerge in this state, where the partners are talking, the federal government is enabling, and we are all really willing and able to reach into our populations we haven't necessarily talked to, some of us in the past, that we can make these opportunities available for these students and bring them forward. This is truly unprecedented.
Thank you. Thank you. Our last question goes to one of the most important panelists here. That's our student, Gulf. Cybersecurity is a very diverse industry and very dynamic industry. It changes very, very quickly. What I want to ask you is, how did your program prepare you to advance in a cybersecurity career? What's one thing you wish had been part of your training, and what's one piece of advice you would give to someone wanting to follow your path?
Sure. So first off, thank you for having me here. A little nervous in accepting this invitation, but glad to have been able to make it. I work at Lockheed Martin now, and I did attend Montgomery College and participate in the cyber curriculum, kind of. So kind of leads into what I wish I had when I was in school. I didn't really have a clear path, as Dr. Ball was stating. I knew I wanted to be in IT, but I didn't know what I wanted to do in IT, so I kind of jumped around in multiple majors, from programming to, I even went to business management, and then I went into cyber. The cyber curriculum here, I did a Cisco training here, and that taught me a very important skill set that I didn't know that I would need later on in my cyber career at that time, and I'm glad I took it. That also helped me achieve my Cisco certification, which showed my employers and my teammates that I am dedicated to this and that I want this. So that helped me show them that I am passionate about this and kind of open the doors for more opportunities for me. I kind of wish that I also had a mentor. Something that I learned while I was at Lockheed Martin, mentorship programs are huge. They help guide you. They help, you can set goals. There's someone that have already made it in their career, and they can guide you the right way to achieving what you want to achieve. It's continuous education, right? So Montgomery College definitely played a huge role. It helped me move from being a help desk tech to getting to systems administration to network engineering. So with that, to keep on learning, outside of Montgomery College or at Montgomery College, it's one of the key things to any career, but I guess for me it's cyber. And I guess the one thing, or many things, that I would suggest future students to do is, one, get a mentor. Never stop learning, and don't be afraid to ask questions. That was unfortunately one of the things that I was afraid. I was afraid to look less smart. So I started attending conferences, kind of just sitting back, lurking, as cyber people say, just watching what other people do. But eventually I worked up the courage to ask these questions that they might be like, it's way below them, but to me it's wow. And I learned that this community is very open to reaching their hand out and saying, you know what, you asked for my help, I will help you. And that's something I see a lot of students aren't doing. And that's unfortunate because this community is very open. Something in cyber, it's knowledge sharing is key, whether it's from learning or actually spreading knowledge of how to detect something. Knowledge is key, sharing is key. So I'm a big believer in open platforms and knowledge sharing. So I try to develop a community within my own friends, and I try to share them. This is how I got here. This is what I suggest that you do. So those are the tips.
And next week, Golf is meeting with our workforce development team to talk about teaching at Montgomery College. So it's come full circle.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's fabulous.
Yeah, that's good news.
Congratulations.